Hello, fellow fumblers, and welcome to another episode of the Film Fumblers podcast, the show where four friends fumble through your favorite films. Today, we are reviewing Edward Scissorhands, a movie directed by Tim Burton and released in 1990. So without further ado, my name's Adrian.
I'm Jay.
I'm Taryn.
Hey, it's James.
All right. Second to last Christmas movie. Let's throw it right in with this shot.
It's already almost Christmas.
Cheers to that.
Got the Santa shot glass again. Boom. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What was that? Oh shit.
That was Tito's, my friend.
Delicious.
Good, man. Good vodka.
That was lemonade.
Cheers, brothers.
I get it.
You get it?
I get it.
Lemonade.
Oh,
person
lemonade. Hey.
Yeah.
Dude, the face he makes after that, like the whole noise, that whole scene, he's just like
Yeah.
asphyxiating.
Dude, all right, let's jump right into it. I thought he was like, when I was watching it, I was just like, is he like a robot? Did that get into his gears? And is he gonna like Austin Powers fembots like gonna start freaking out?
Dude, it was very
Did not happen. It was just
very crazy.
Everyone has one of those alcohols. When you hear the name of it, makes you instantly vomit. What is your guys? Do you guys have one?
I think mine's plain flavored Smirnoff vodka. Just no flavor, like, because I can shoot Tito's now really comfortably, but just something about Smirnoff. That was the first thing I ever got really sick on, and Jay knows that. Jay knows that time. And to this day, I can't.
Story time. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I think mine
no.
is Jack Daniels. I think whiskey is just ruined for me. It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, we can get into that later, but
Mine is specifically Honey Jack because we used to get that
man.
a lot back in the day.
Oh,
That
man.
made me
Remember
react
that?
physically. just
Honey
now.
Jack is pretty gross.
Yeah. Mine is there
What is
was
that?
this sweet tea vodka. Oh my
I don't know if
god.
I've had
sounds
that,
bad.
but that sounds disgusting.
That is just
It sounds almost like a twisted tea, but just
it was
fully
bad.
concentrate, like 40 or like
bad.
80 proof twisted tea.
It was some nasty stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah. I've had once this, I don't know what kind of liquor it was. It was a bottle, and the liquid was like red, like a jello color, like that transparency of like a red jello. And it tasted like what I imagined like 18th century curtains tasted like in an old dusty castle. It felt like I was drinking dust and like just gross, like I
It was
don't know,
probably was
fabric.
it gin? It was. I feel like gin would
I
have
don't
like
know. It was red. That was the only thing I remember. It was really weird. I've never had it again. I don't remember what it was called,
that is odd.
but it was bad.
Huh. All right, Edward Scissorhands, 1990. A few years before us, before we were born, but right at that era. Opening thoughts. I mean, I think for me again, this is I say this all the fucking time. I don't think that I've sat and watched this movie all the way through. It's like such a famous, iconic movie. I for sure haven't. I like know the plot for the most part, but even watching it, like 25 minutes in, I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, what is this movie?"
That's the same reaction, dude.
Yeah.
Literally, I was like, I need to check the time mark because that's where it was, and that's what my reaction was. But
Wow.
What was
Yeah.
happening at that minute?
okay, I think it was the scene where they're all at dinner, and like the fucking clueless dad is just like, "Well, honey brought in a new stranger again. This one's a little gothic, but let's just see what he's like." And it's just like, what do you? This is not how people react to these situations.
Oh,
It's
dude,
so weird.
I loved the dad.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
a
he
fucking
was-
awesome character.
Yeah.
I have seen this before, but the first time I saw it was this year. It was like a month and a half ago, so it was relatively new for me as well.
Mhm.
Double viewing. Yeah. This movie, I don't know what the hell. Like I don't know. It's I'm gonna go on my rant about those quirky teenagers again.
Oh no.
Because like this is like, you know, it's like the emo girls like favorite thing. Like anything Tim Burton
Oh
at
yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah.
And so like when Jacob picked this, I was like, ah, this is gonna be trash. Like,
Damn.
not saying
What?
Jacob had bad taste, but I was like,
Just,
damn, I
yeah.
was like, this is gonna be like, I don't know, just like
Some
some emo
emo
girl
shit.
shit. Like I was like, this is
Yeah.
not gonna be good. Like,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know. But it ended up pleasantly surprising me.
Yeah, it,
So
it
you-
redeemed itself after 25 minutes. I think once you're like, okay, this is what it is, and you just kind of accept that,
Right.
I think it gets a lot better. It
Yeah.
did for me at least.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the general vibe I'm getting from you, James, is that you liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I liked it a lot more than I thought I would have ever liked it. And I was
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck? And I'll get into that later. And I'll tell you why Jacqueline thinks that I like it. But,
Okay.
well, I'll just tell you now. Jacqueline's just like, you only like it because it's a sad ending. Like, and I'm like, maybe you're right.
shit.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
You're like, life
'cause
is
that's-
pain.
Yeah, because like half the time, like whenever we're talking about movies, I'm just like, somebody needed to die. Like, give me that real sadness, and like,
Yeah.
Pull one
This
of my
movie-
heartstrings at least.
But it
yeah,
was
this
like- it
movie
was a-
pretty much just as sad, and
It
it
was
and it
the
has that.
antagonist who died though, so it was like kind of happy in that regard. you know?
Yeah, but like he didn't get the girl, and he was
That's-
still an outcast. Like nothing
Yeah,
really
that's true,
changed
yeah.
for him. He became even more of this monster because of the way the little town like turned on him and started spreading rumors and lies and all this stuff, and and he can never like rebuild from that. And it's
Yeah.
sad. Like it's his first like taste of society. And he's just like so wholesome and like I was just like, what the hell? This is sad. This is
Yeah.
really sad. And then like the guy who made him, that was fucking sad too. When he just dies.
With
That
the
was-
hands
Yeah,
in his hands. Damn.
That was. Oh man, what is that actor's name? He was like a really good.
Oh, Vincent
Vincent
Price.
Price, dude.
Yeah. So that
Wow.
was fun fact. That was his last screen presence. Like
Yeah, he died
Wow.
3 years later or something?
yeah, he had like Parkinson's, I think, and some other stuff. But that was like him. His last screen presence was him dying, like, which is kind of crazy.
That was crazy.
And also, I
actually.
think in that scene, he actually passed out from like all of the lighting and stuff from like the
Oh my
heat.
god, they just put
And,
that
like,
shit
wow.
in there.
Like apparently kept it rolling. I don't know if that was like completely canon or not canon, but like
Confirmed.
Yeah.
real.
That's
Well,
funny,
that-
dude.
This guy, Vincent Price, Tim Burton was a big fan of him. So like I watched this like documentary that talked about how he almost idolized this dude. Like he grew up watching his movies. Like he was the guy who got him into wanting to make movies and stuff like that.
Mm.
And so when he got the opportunity to work with him, people that were around were like, it was like electric. Like they were just vibing off
Yeah.
each other. They really felt it with each other. It was really good. And the Vincent Price was into the idea of this like crazy inventor that, makes stuff that it's like a fairy tale and it has like a moral like attachment to it and stuff like that.
That's cool.
But it's really cool that he got that chance to do that. I didn't know that was his last movie though. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He's like, what? They call him like the master of horror or some shit? Like all the
Yeah.
50s and 60s. He's like this creepy like dude.
The monster movies and all that,
I
right?
feel like
Yeah.
the thing I know him most from, or because of Saturday Night Live when Bill Hader would play him and do like Halloween
Oh, wow.
specials in black
Oh,
and
yeah.
white, and like it's so funny
Ah.
because his voice is so exaggerated, and you're like, oh, that's just actually how this guy sounds, and it's so iconic, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently they had a lot more scenes, or they were supposed to have a lot more screen time with Vincent Price, but he just wasn't doing great on camera just with Parkinson's, and I mean he was sick, so they had to cut a lot out. But the times that he was on, I think, were obviously like super important to the plot and just like what was happening, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
those crazy, what are those what are those called, those like crazy contraptions that like do some random thing that like crack an egg or whatever.
Rube Goldberg.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that like that whole deal, and I'm just like, isn't it just a lot easier to crack an egg?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good. I liked him a lot in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess to stick on to casting or to cast Johnny Depp. He was not the first person like considered for the role. Winona Ryder was cast before he was, which I thought was really odd. This was Johnny Depp's it was like his first film with Tim Burton, which is kind of interesting because then after that, every other Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. 1990 was like where it all started. They also considered some like really interesting people to play Edward. They considered, I think it was Tom Cruise, Jim Carrey, Robert Downey Jr., and there was even rumors of Michael Jackson.
Wow.
To play. I don't know.
He kind of looks
That's
like
a different fucking vibe.
Yeah.
But the other people, like those are huge names, like Robert Downey Jr., Tom Cruise. But yeah, I mean Johnny Depp obviously really big name too. So interesting that they went with him, and then it just kind of launched into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a note on the Tom Cruise stuff. So apparently he got far into the process, like he was gonna probably be him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, well, how does he go to the bathroom? And the writer was like, we're not going there. Like, it's got fucking scissors for hands. We're not gonna do this. And Tom Cruise was like, well, I need to know. Like, he had to know these things.
Does he need to? He's not even a person, right?
That's what they said. They were like, he needed to know how he did random shit, like go to the bathroom or like whatever. That would be difficult to do with scissors for hands. And they were just like, no, like we're not gonna talk about this. He was like,
what a
like,
weird ass like thing. Like,
Yeah.
he read the entire script and then and he didn't understand that he's like not
either
human, doesn't have human.
That's kind of that's what I got. Where he like probably didn't need to. But that was the thing though, like he did eat, but
well, this is like comparable.
This
is comparable to the conversations that we've had around science fiction and how believable or not it can be or whatever, what they expect you to take just as it is. And I feel like they just expect you to take this story as it is, but also you're okay with doing that. Like I don't feel the need to question any of this shit. But
it's like hard like fairy tale, right? Like in the very first scene is old Winona like telling the story. So not everything is totally supposed to be taken believable. It's fairy tale like.
There was some spots where my mind drifted towards that. I'm like, how the fuck would he do that? And I was like, it doesn't matter. Whatever. Back to the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, how would he wipe his ass? That was one. And then how would he have sex? Because like him and Winona were getting pretty frisky. I'm like, how is this gonna work? And then
he's like, I can't touch her. She's like, hold me. He's like,
who was the guy? Jim was just like, how's he gonna hold her hand and like God forbid do other things? Like he was just super about himself and like projecting that onto Edward. But
how does he get these big ass giant blocks of ice up to that fucking attic in his castle?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Every year, it's just like, where are they finding this ice?
Okay,
and the whole town's just like perfectly okay with like, oh, it didn't snow, but now all of it just comes from where that dead guy lives. Like,
that was actually the big one that I thought of. Was she told everyone that he died at the end of the movie?
Yeah. They're just like,
wouldn't they go check out the building?
Yeah, nobody.
Like, oh, let's go see what's up. Tear it down.
Scissors that she found on the cabinet, and just like, oh, yep, he's dead.
Yeah. The cop like pretends to shoot him, and then they still went to go check after that, but then they didn't after they saw the dead kid. Like it was just some of those things can take you out.
But that's what's like. Okay, we're talking about if Tom Cruise was Edward, this movie would not hit the same at all. It would probably be like, that movie was really weird and it just didn't really click or whatever. But I think that Johnny Depp did a really good job at like making it like feel, not real, but I'm not like, it's not too weird. You know what I mean?
I mean, like to be fair, but I read that he really studied for the role. So Edward Scissorhands only had 169 words in the entire film. Like that was all he did not speak a lot. So Johnny Depp watched a lot of Charlie Chaplin, like the silent film, to kind of like try to understand how to convey emotion without speaking. And so, and it really did show. Like you could, he did a really good job at the small lines that he did have. I think, you think about like, oh, how many lines did you have in a role? It's like based on like how prominent you were in the role or whatever, or like how good of an acting performance you did. But he said so much without having many lines. He really did a good job at that. Dude, so mad respect to Johnny.
Yeah, what's crazy is his face almost never changes either, and you still get a lot of emotion out of this guy. He did amazing, I thought.
Yeah,
sick.
That's a good point.
At the very beginning, just his like pouty, like his little like pouty face.
Yeah. I
was like, are you serious?
I read that in addition to the Charlie Chaplin stuff, he was taking inspiration from dogs, like animals.
Wow.
Because they're just so like, obedient and stuff, and when you get scolded, they kind of pout, and like he was just mimicking those things because it's the same vibe.
He looks like a scared puppy dog when you first meet him.
When they question him with the hat on, dude, he's just, oh man, you can look at him. Yeah, that's really funny.
I was so sad.
Speaking of dog's eyes, there was a Reddit article like last week that dogs developed a certain muscle around their eyes, like the puppy dog eyes that are not those muscles aren't seen in wolves. That's why wolves have like dead blank stares.
Yeah.
And puppy dogs have expressive eyes.
That is amazing.
That they developed in their relationship with humans.
Dude,
just aside.
Like domesticated animals are so weird. Cats do the same thing with meowing, right? Like cats don't meow after like their kittens or something, but they like learn to meow to humans to like manipulate them and shit. Like, domestic animals are really fascinating.
Yeah, that's really crazy.
Yeah, so back to Edward Scissorhands. Let's talk about like just the setting of the city, and I don't know. I think they did like a really good job. It felt so fantastical and so like happy, holly jolly, which really mirrors the music that's often found in Tim Burton's films, where it's just like there's like that every Tim Burton pitch meeting. I think I've talked about this in a previous episode, but it's just like bum 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 bum, and like that's all of the music, and it's just so fantastical and then gothic and then fantastical. But you see that in the actual set too, which is really, really cool. There's just this fucking massive gothic castle at the top of this hill, and then right below it is just this beautiful town, like
pastel, perfect old town. Yeah,
the town is, or it's a suburb, right? Like it's
suburb. Yeah,
which I think is important because the like vibe that kind of carries the film is just like the concept of being an outsider and like having that in a suburb, but like not being so on the nose to where they paint the houses like fully colored and shit, and they did that like in real life and it looks crazy but cool at the same time. It gives it enough of like a, I don't know, I guess that fairy tale vibe that like you're okay with all of that stuff happening, and but at the same time you're understanding like he's not supposed to belong here, or people will think
he's like all black and gray in this like pastel world.
Right.
It's that, and that's like, I don't know, you say it's like fantastical, even like with the music and everything. It's weird that the Christmas portion of this movie comes at the very end, but for some reason the movie and the fantasticalness of it makes it feel Christmassy to me. Did you guys get that feeling? Like I was like thinking about it, I was like, man, this feels, I don't know, it's like a whimsical world. Like I don't know, and just watching Edward like react to his new surroundings, I thought was like really fun to watch, and it made it because he's like a little kid on Christmas kind of thing, because like he's like doesn't understand the world around him, and it was like I got Christmas vibes from like the very beginning, which was weird.
And it's so interesting that right when they introduce Christmas, like that they're planning a Christmas party, that's the exact moment that everyone starts turning on Edward. And so like like the holly jolliness kind of completely takes a turn for Edward's character, and everyone starts being really weary of him, and they start believing that girl who thinks he's the Antichrist and everything. Like, so it was interesting how they kind of did that flip, because initially it was kind of backwards. Like initially I thought like, oh, no one's gonna accept Edward, and everyone was so excited to meet him, and like so
in
like,
the beginning,
oh
huh?
God.
Like I was
In the
like,
beginning,
I was
yeah.
like, I was like, they're way too freaking nice. I was like,
Right.
something's got to turn sour here. Like,
Dude, that
it had
surprised
to
the shit
be.
out of me when the movie started. I was like, this feels like in the scene in The Grinch, the Jim Carrey one, where what's her name? Cindy Lou brings the Grinch to the town.
Yeah. And everyone's feeding him.
So yeah, I was thinking about that, and then that scene happened. I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just like bringing someone in and trying to like make them fit in and like convince them that he's like okay. That's what I thought it was gonna be, and then like they were all just so down for this guy to be here, and like they were so interested, like in like a pretty good way. It seemed like for them at the beginning, at least.
I mean, they were kind of like
surprising.
out for their own like personal gain kind of thing. Like they were like, what can we gain from this new person? And that's
Get the
kind of like
gossip
how
first.
And also
yeah,
just like, oh wow, he's so like weird. He's so weird. Let's just like get to see him. And I've read that like a lot of people draw parallels between Edward's character and like people with autism, and just like how they're kind of perceived, you know, especially like in the 90s. I remember when we were growing up, they would say like autistic people or people with autism would have these like crazy abilities to like memorize phone books and like to just do like to be able to like finish crossword puzzles in half a second, and there was like this like fascination with them, but it kind of shines a light on that like that's also not okay. Like they're people, you know, like why are you putting them in this box and just saying like, look at how weird this person is, they can do this, you know? Which is kind of how they demonstrated that a lot in the when he was on the TV show, when he was on like the talk show, and how everyone was like, wow, look how weird this character is.
That's what I was thinking about, like the whole movie, dude. I was like that. I feel like that's like the theme of it, right? Is like differently abled people and like treating them like too special or something, and like taking advantage of them, like especially God, what's her name? The sexy lady, hairstylist, whatever. She takes advantage of him so bad, like trying to like get with him, and then when it doesn't work out, she like starts spreading this lie that it's like everyone's gonna believe her over this guy. And it's just so fucked up.
They literally use the line, he practically raped her. Like they actually say that, and it was just like, whoa, like that's
Do you guys get any parallels to this movie and Johnny Depp's actual life? Where like with the whole Amber Heard thing? I don't know too much about it, but like
there's controversy on him and his ex-wife, right? Like that there was a lot of abuse, but a lot of it was from her to him. And
like it's kind of, it's almost, I was thinking about it during this because, you know, his Edward's name kind of gets drugged through the dirt and you can never like recover from that. I was just thinking, oh, this is kind of happening to Johnny Depp. I don't know if whose side is right or whatever, but I was just
That's interesting. The only like personal bit of trivia I know about Johnny Depp is that he like when he went into hella debt, you guys remember when that happened? It became like a headline. One of his like expenses that he deemed like absolutely necessary was like 35 grand of bottles of wine shipped to his house every month. Every month.
I feel
you know, extravagant places and shit, you know.
God. You know that him and Winona were together, right? In a relationship. And he had I don't know if it was during this, but he got her name.
I think like right at this.
Yeah. He got her name tattooed on him that said Winona Forever. And he changed it to Wino Forever. He got it.
Damn.
Like tattooed Wino Forever.
Yeah, I think I said 3,500. It's $35,000 a month. $35,000.
Maybe I just assumed that it was that, but
yeah, I fumbled on that one. $35,000 worth of exotic wine a month, and he was like, "Nope, gotta stay, gotta keep doing that."
Mandatory.
And then he went bankrupt.
Call Tim Burton. Tell him to put me in another movie. You got
it. Exactly.
That's fine. Yeah, but to touch more on to the Johnny Depp Winona Ryder relationship, I had no idea. I remember like I was reading something and I saw that they were in a relationship, and it was like a 3-year long thing. And I feel like it probably stemmed from this movie, I would imagine. But yeah, they were like engaged and everything. Like they were engaged to be married.
Oh
And
wow,
Dang.
I didn't know about that
I
part.
think yeah, it was like kind of like, you know, Brangelina, like they were like that couple in the early 90s where it was like, wow, like no one can beat this couple. And bit of an age difference there. I think Winona Ryder was 19 during filming. Johnny Depp was 27.
Oh wow.
So, but
He's that old right now? Oh my god.
Yeah,
So he's
I know.
57?
Johnny
57.
Depp
This movie is
57,
30
yeah.
years old as of the 7th, right? December 7th
Yeah,
or
it was
something
like a
that?
week
Oh, wow.
ago.
Yeah.
And Tim Burton
30-year
is
anniversary.
like 62 or something now. Like he's in his 60s. It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
But the background of Tim Burton like is interesting, right? When you look at the stuff that he's made, like he was a Disney animator before he was a film director, and he would draw like characters from The Nightmare Before Christmas and stuff, and there was always interest in them, but they were like, this isn't really for kids, and you know, there's a lot of like,
Yeah.
they were unsure of it.
Yeah.
And this movie is based off a drawing too. Like he drew the character of Edward in school or whatever, and like he basically was like, I've always had this idea of this character that has scissors for hands and it's kind of weird or whatever. And they found the woman who was going to write it. Her name is
Caroline something.
Caroline Thomas, I believe.
Caroline Thompson or
Caroline Thompson.
Caroline Thompson.
So they found her because she wrote this like really like gothic novel basically, and so he gave her the drawing of Edward Scissorhands and was like, this is the idea. And she was like, I got everything I need, and like she wrote the whole thing just based off this picture.
That's badass.
That's kind of crazy.
That's really cool.
And then
And
she
so-
later went on to date Danny Elfman, and that's where The Nightmare Before Christmas cross comes, because she also wrote on that too.
Yeah.
Is this
Ah.
is Nightmare Before Christmas after this?
It was
93,
after that, 3 years
yeah.
Oh
later.
wow.
83.
Oh,
So there,
sorry.
he works with a lot of the same people a lot of the time, like across the board. It's like
Yeah,
not even
dude.
just actors. It's like
Danny
everybody's
Elfman,
the
dude.
same. Danny Elfman
He
does
is
all
so
the
good.
music.
The
Yeah.
music in this movie made me want to watch at the same time Batman and Nightmare Before Christmas, like at the same time. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, this shit is so good. But it's
Just
a
have
little
So
Really
similar.
didn't like this movie like he was gonna make it before he made Batman, right? And then people were kind of like, yeah, there's nothing there. And then he had a big success from Batman, and he got money for this, and so he was like,
Yeah.
all right, now we got to do
think
this.
Batman
Batman
was
was later.
Or,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
the first one was 89.
Oh, the first one, 89. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then he
because of
went
that
on, like-
movie, the success
Dang,
of
I
that movie,
forgot
they're
he made
like,
two.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
all right, you did good on that one. You can do whatever you want now, and this is what he wanted to make.
Yeah.
And dude, according to
It's so
Wikipedia,
interesting.
sorry,
It's so interesting to like see directors like Spielberg is kind of the same way. Like if Spielberg dropped the fucking ball on Jaws, like he would not have had a career. Like he just wouldn't have, you know, and wouldn't have went
Yeah.
on to do all this other shit. And it feels like it's so, but there's so many like really crazy, like highly regarded director names that you know that it's just like, man, if they would have just not gotten this one movie right, nothing. And it makes you think like, man, who are like the people that we don't know about that
Yeah.
Right.
fall through the cracks who didn't make it? You know, it's just
Well, I
so-
think you're saying like drop the ball in it. I think it's like you need to like knock it out of the park. Like it has to be interesting, cool, crazy, you know. And he had made Beetlejuice before this too. He had made Pee-wee, what is it? Pee-wee Herman.
Yep.
Wild
Big
Adventure, I
Adventure,
think.
yeah.
Big Adventure.
So he had movies under his belt, but this is still like I feel in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s, this is a hard pitch, right? Like how do you go to a studio and you're like,
It's
Listen.
fucking
Yeah,
weird.
like what
Is
is the
this for
concept
hands?
for this? How do you
all the houses are the same color, there's a big castle, just don't worry about it. Just give
Yeah.
us a setting.
There's a real gothic kid, snorts a lot. He's got scissors for hands. Like,
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
Wait,
fuck?
what?
What kind of crazy drugs, dude?
Yeah, but
Mm.
his style has now, because it's been so many years, it kind of feels like he can do one thing really well, and he can translate it a little bit, but not a lot. Like the new Dumbo. Have you guys seen the new Dumbo?
No.
Oh, I haven't. I heard it's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of
creepy.
bad, and it's like dark. Like
Is it
that's his
like
thing, right?
definitely
Take a
Tim
thing, make it
Burton or
dark.
what?
It's like
Mm,
maybe as far away from it as he goes, but it's
Yeah.
still like his vibe.
So has he came out with a good movie recently? Like, what's his last
Oof.
good movie?
That's a good
I don't know,
question, dude.
because if you're talking about directing, maybe okay, a lot of people like Frankenweenie. I've never seen it.
I want to watch that.
Either that just sounds so stupid.
Frankenweenie.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the
Jack will like
animated
it.
one.
So yeah, Dumbo
Alice in
sounds
Wonderland,
fun.
was that well received or no?
I remember
I mean,
thinking
that
that
was
shit
his
was
last
cool
one.
when it came out,
It was
but
10 years ago.
wow.
Oh,
Alice in Wonderland.
The last, I
Johnny
mean,
Depp one?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I think was good. That was 15 years ago.
15 years ago,
Oh,
with
wow.
Corpse Bride the same
That's
year.
not that great though.
Yeah, that's true. I think.
How
I mean,
about
obviously,
Corpse Bride?
Corpse Bride was cool.
I thought it was pretty good.
Corpse
That's the
Bride.
same
I
year,
remember seeing that
2005.
movie in theaters for James's birthday.
I was
Really?
invited.
Well,
I'm
that
like,
was
I was about
me.
to say, I don't
a
think
long
I've seen
time
that
ago.
movie.
Yeah, but what I think we can tell from this list is like he doesn't range very far from
Mhm,
the,
mhm.
the one thing that he's good at. But to be fair, like it's the thing that he invented,
Yeah.
like this is his realm.
Would Hot
And
Topic
that's why he kind
exist
of-
without him? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, would
So,
Steam Kids exist without having
he's
The
spun the
aesthetic
whole-
backbone of Tim Burton.
the aesthetic backbone?
But isn't that
beautiful.
kind of why he left Disney's? Because they were just like, this guy's a fucking freak, right? Like,
Basically,
he just was
yeah, they
doing
were
too
like,
many outlandish
weird.
Well, and that really takes us back to Edward Scissorhands, where this movie's kind of a parallel of his life. Like, I think he was born in like Burbank, California, a very suburb kind of area, and he just felt like such kind of like an outcast. And it's so fitting that Edward sits in this castle, this Gothic castle on top of this ridiculous hill, right next door to like this beautiful, perfect world. And I think that Tim Burton, obviously, Caroline Thompson wrote it, but it was very much a metaphor for like his life and how he felt, growing up, like just
Yeah.
how much of an outcast he was,
Right. Like even at Disney.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's when you do what again, like his style, but also the substance of the movie, it works, and like it just feels, even though it's a fairy tale, it feels real. Like the feelings that you're
Mhm.
forced to, recognize or, sympathize with are real.
Yeah.
And it feels interesting. Like James said, I thought that this movie was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Like I went into it like kind of in the same vein, like fuck, seeing kids and shit like this. But and you watch
Not that I have
like,
problems with it, but
Those
I was
fucking
just like,
scene
I
kids.
was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, this is just like, I don't know,
Of
that
course.
typical shit. I was like,
Right.
this is gonna be stupid.
I mean-
Lovey-dovey story. It does have its stupidity a little bit, I think, but
yeah.
like, I don't know. It's good.
Dive into that,
Still
James.
good.
What did you like? What stupidity do you
I hate when characters like tell other characters that they love them when they literally don't even know them.
Oh.
that really pisses me off. Like when Winona was just like, "I love you," I'm just like, "What?"
I thought he was
get it.
gonna like
I-
turn into a real boy or something. It was like so weird.
Oh, my
It's fucking Pinocchio.
It's like that was the last
Just gonna take
ingredient.
off
He needed
got
to
a real
get
name,
kissed to get rid of the curse or whatever. Or
Yeah,
some
that's
shit,
what it
you know?
seemed like.
Right.
Yeah, Alonzo said on some high school shit. Like, I don't know. I just hate like that kind of childish stuff. That kind of was stupid to me. But
I agree.
what
Yeah.
else is stupid?
What
Not
else is
much. I
fucking
don't know.
dumb?
Yeah.
That's funny. I feel like my expectations were too high coming into it. knowing
Oh,
that like it's so
really?
popular, having
Oh wow.
90s and shit, and or no, what is it, Rotten Tomatoes and shit. I don't know. Not that that matters, but
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
this is probably gonna be really good, and then it was just fine. After like it ended, I was like, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Weirdly, it feels like this movie would have been better if it was like 1970 because it would be like a true classic, you know.
Hmm.
I guess it still is 1990, 30 years. Like that's
I mean, we're
Yeah, it's-
talking about it was still weird for its time, right?
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
what else like this was out? Not much.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, exactly. Only good stuff.
Yeah, Tim Burton, man.
So it's in that aspect, like, I don't know. I get where you're coming from, Taryn. Like, if you had this super hyped up in your head, it might not have fulfilled that. But for me, I was more on James's end of like, I don't think I'm gonna like this very much, and then I
Yeah.
ended up liking it a lot.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, better. It's more fun, you know.
It is
Can
more
feel
fun that
better.
way. Yeah, like I said, there was that breaking point where 25 minutes in, I was really just like, oh, this is as stupid as I thought it was gonna be, kind of thing. Like, really fucking dumb.
But you gotta let it. I don't know. You gotta
And then,
let
no,
the
but-
fantasticalness and like the
Yeah.
weirdness take you.
Right,
You're
yeah.
like,
Like
oh,
stupid
shit,
in like
I'm
in
along
like a
for it.
silly way, you mean, right? Like, because I agree with that.
Kind of in a silly way,
Outlandish.
but also just like, what story are you telling me? Like, why do I care? This is so ridiculous. Like, I don't get it. Like,
It's like, what?
a
Why
fucking-
scissors? Yeah.
Yeah, a teenager with scissors for hands. Like, are you serious? How much cocaine are you on? Like, what? But then once it really dives into more of just like focusing on people who are different and like shedding more of a light on that, I think is really when it like turned. And I was just like, oh, like this movie really does have something to say. And that's when I really started getting more interested.
So I feel
Yeah.
like I like that part of it the most, but I feel like it could have and maybe should have went harder into that, because like there's some things like, I don't know, just like that old dude talking to him at the barbecue is like, oh yeah, I don't have any feeling, oh, like it's okay, be
Yeah.
yourself, blah blah blah, and then at the end of the movie he's calling him a fucking cripple or
Again.
some shit.
Was that the
yeah.
guy?
I'm pretty
the
sure
same
it was
guy.
the same
The
guy.
guy in
'Cause
the-
it's just like, yeah, like showing
garage.
up, yeah, putting on a show versus like how he really feels kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have went farther into it, and it felt kind of flat to me.
I
'cause
feel
it
like what
didn't.
that kind of symbolized, and that was like how everyone in the town saw him. Like everyone in the town was like so, like just infatuated with him, and so like, oh my gosh, Edward Scissorhands is like the coolest fucking person. And then once things got like a little bit too real, they instantly just switched on him. They were like, nope, fuck this guy. He raped this girl. He's fucking cutting up children. Like he's a murderer. Like,
Yeah.
and it was. And I think it's just a really good metaphor for how people view people who are different in any regard.
Yeah.
Like be it somebody with autism, be it somebody like differently abled or whatever it is, like I don't know. It's just like once things get weird, I think people like are really just like, ooh, this is too weird for me. And it, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it did a good job at that and showing how people would react or how people do react,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I just.
I think I can see what you're saying, Taryn, about you wanting them or expecting them to go deeper into that. But I also think that that's more of a recent like awareness that people are having.
I did think about
True.
that. Yeah.
30 years, man. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's why I kind of was disappointed in it, because it's just like I've seen weirder shit. Like this isn't that weird to me. Like it would be if I was watching it in the 90s.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like I
Yeah.
took all that into like consideration. I was thinking about it, but I don't know.
It's like weird, but it's like mainstream weird, like 86 million in the box office. Pretty decent,
Sure,
right?
yeah. It's like, oh, it's the
Um,
Beetlejuice guy. I wonder if that was part of it or not.
Yeah, and a lot of people know like, Beetlejuice or Edward Scissorhands, and they're like, whatever. So like I get it.
Now
Like
you mean, yeah.
yeah. Like if your taste is like weird, you've seen weirder
Yeah.
than this in 2020 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for it to do this commercially like successful is pretty cool, I think.
That is cool. I don't want to take away from it. I'm just saying, for me,
Yeah.
personally, for sure. Yeah.
No. It's interesting. And the impact on culture, maybe not this movie explicitly, but people know of it. I mean, they may not wear like, you know, every merch piece under the sun of it, like some of the other movies, but yeah, I think it's just his style, which is, I don't know. Do you think that his style is timeless? Do you think it will eventually like age out and not be that cool?
I think there's always going to be people who view themselves as outsiders, as black sheep.
Sure.
Like that's what this is. I feel like that's what this genre is made for. Is the people that view themselves as like different from everyone else. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of us could kind of relate to that in that like in high school, you know, we were like the quote unquote rocker kids, and like every time we would go out in public, people would be like, "Are you guys in a band?" Like all of us would have long hair. You know, and it's
You're
like
one of those rockers, nah? One of them skater fools, nah?
But like there's always going to be those people who are different, and
Yeah.
there's always going to be I hate to say it in like a capitalist way, but there's always going to be a market for that, you know, like
Yeah.
it's just how it is.
But I think I'm saying like in
The
purely
actual movie,
aesthetics,
I think it is timeless because
like the black and white swirly shit everywhere.
yeah, it's such
Yeah.
a style that it's like you can't copy it because it's too obvious, right?
If you copy it, yeah. So this is an interesting. I've been in this really weird niche exploration of crypto art in the last couple of weeks because of all this.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What the
So
fuck
a
is that?
30-second overview. Basically, a few places on the internet have deemed it cool to embed art into crypto, like kind of like cryptocurrency, but like basically tokens that are like verifiable on a digital level, so that you can own a original piece of art that's digitally made, as you would a Picasso or a, you know, Mona Lisa type thing. Yeah, like you can own the piece digitally, and it's really interesting, and there's all kinds of shit here. But yeah, I don't even know how I arrived here. I've just been like so into this crypto art shit. What the hell?
Art kind of thing, like just is this timeless, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's just interesting. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I know how I got here. So there's a lot of like interesting pieces that range, right? And so like there's a lot of really you know, classical artist ripoffs that you can like clearly tell that these people are trying to do or like parody or make fun of. And then there's like people that are original in this like weird 3D medium, you know, it's just like different, it's new, and they create things that are very simple. And I was reading an interview with one of the artists, and he says that his work is aimed to be made so like simple, but I don't know if profound is the right word, but you know, to make you think, to where if you tried to be influenced by him, you would just look like a replica, not even a copy. Like I feel like you can kind of copy some people, but with Tim Burton, you would just be replicating. Like it's not even
Here's what I disagree with you, Jay.
Okay, let's hear it.
Henry Selick, director.
I was gonna say, but we all thought it was Tim Burton
produced it, didn't he?
No, but no, he didn't. Tim Burton had nothing to do with Henry Selick, right? Or excuse me, with Coraline. I'm pretty sure. No, Tim Burton. That was the whole thing with Nightmare Before Christmas. I want to say Tim Burton's hands are not on Coraline.
But still, the experience that they had together on Nightmare is that the only reason that Tim didn't direct that movie was because of Batman, because they were pushing him on Batman so hard that he couldn't do it. So he told Henry Selick, "This is the movie I want," basically, and he wouldn't show up. And so yeah, largely Henry Selick is a mind, and there's many minds behind Nightmare, but he is a mind. But Tim Burton would come in and be like, "This needs to change, that needs to change, that needs to go." And I don't know. It's still like a vision of his.
Okay,
no,
so
like for Nightmare Before Christmas, I'm saying.
I was gonna say, the book that Coraline is based off of, Neil Gaiman wrote it because he was inspired by Nightmare Before Christmas. So I mean, it's just a circle now.
But that was also okay. It's a big circle.
But he's an exception because he works so closely.
Yeah, it's not like he's not like been known to say like, oh, like people will literally say like, oh, like you're like influenced by Tim Burton. He's like, no, like that's my aesthetic too. Like they kind of both had that. Tim Burton's just more of a household name. Like people just know who Tim Burton is. If you say Henry Selick, we've had this conversation.
I thought you were talking about Tom Selleck. I was like, what are you going with this?
Yeah. No, I think that's true.
But that's one example, right?
They came up together. They were in the room together.
Example, but I'm just saying, like,
if
like,
you
just
try to do this now,
I don't think means that, like, I don't know. Maybe that's the thing. Is like maybe Tim Burton does have a monopoly on this aesthetic.
That's why. I mean, there's a reason we were all so confused and thought he was a part of it, right? It's because it's so fucking similar.
Yeah, but that's just because he's so big. People don't know who Henry
big
Selick
part
is.
of it, though. He was a big part of it. But I agree that Henry Selick was also a big part of it. But the thing is that they worked on a thing together. I'm talking about like if you were in 2020 made a movie that was like black and white stripes, you would think claymation.
100%. You would think
so. And it's not even that guy's ripping off Tim Burton. It's that guy is replicating Tim Burton. It's not even that's what I'm trying to say. It's a style that's so well defined and so like curated over the past 30 years that there is no room for it. Like evolution of it. It's just that's what it is.
That's what it is. What it is. Like it's just
which is weird and crazy and interesting and limiting, right? Which is also interesting. Like he could never do a different kind of movie.
Yeah, that kind of goes into like how much is that such a bad thing? I mean, I don't know. Like
but I know a lot of he hasn't had a good movie in like 15 years, dude.
I think it's becoming a bad thing.
Movie?
Okay, Henry Selick or Tim Burton. Yeah, we did. Yeah, that is true. And I think like the thing about like being a type actor, right, is like I feel like actors are so afraid of that. It's just like like I don't want to just be the bad guy. I don't want to just be like the grumpy dad, whatever it is, But like if you're doing it right and if you fucking keep getting roles, like why not keep going?
If it ain't broke. Don't fix it.
And that's kind of how Johnny Depp turned into. I think before this, Johnny Depp was in. I don't remember what the movie was, but he was like some like
vampire movie or something.
No, it was like I think it was 1988, and it was
on a show.
He was in like a decently big movie. Let me look it up really quick because
what is that show called?
21 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street.
Sorry, yeah, I'm thinking of that.
And like he was afraid of being like typecast as like the teenager for like whatever that genre, whatever it was. But then he just flipped it and was typecast in like Tim Burton's lead role. But they made some good movie. And like in Johnny Depp played that similar type of character like in like Pirates of the Caribbean, the really like eccentric type of really off the rails type of person.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can't just see Johnny Depp playing Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, okay.
Unless it's a fucking, I don't know. Go ahead.
He did a lot of other roles. Like I don't think he's ever been typecast as this weirdo guy. Because like he was in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. You guys seen that? This is a normal ass guy. That was
James,
a couple years after
James as well. So that one.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was 98.
Fear and Loathing, true.
But he's done a lot of crazy shit.
That's still the time. Fear and Loathing is still
crazy. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I see it.
Crazy drug addict, like, well, not addict, but just psychedelic user, I guess you'd say.
Dude, he was in a Nightmare on Elm Street. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Ringo, he was even the crazy guy in an animated movie.
That's the thing is, like, but I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to be typecasted. Like,
right.
It's just like that's who you are, like, and that's the role you play. Like, cool, like, fucking, you're good at it. I don't know.
Okay, so
well, and that was, I think that's part of the allure for him because that's what he was saying about this role specifically, playing Edward, where he had been playing this character in 21 Jump Street that everybody associated him with, and he was like, I'm nothing like this in real life. Like, and so because of that, he felt like Edward was more relatable to him because everybody viewed him as one thing that he wasn't, and it, you know, that really helped him like fuel this character, I guess you could say, because it was closer to what he actually was in real life than. Well, and I think 21 Jump Street's like he's a really outgoing personality or whatever, and you know, this is obviously a big shift.
Yeah. Sorry, one more
So maybe-
random thing. Go ahead, finish that. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say maybe he enjoys those roles. Like maybe that's the thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I agree.
Okay, so just one weird thing that I just saw in his filmography is he plays Donald Trump in a movie.
What the fuck?
Wow. What's the movie?
That is odd.
It's called Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal, the movie.
What year is that?
American
The
2016 American parody film from
Oh,
Funny
nice.
or Die. Isn't that like a YouTube thing?
That's like a
That's
yeah.
Will Ferrell.
Website.
Oh,
Yeah.
Will Ferrell's website.
it's a lot of
Oh.
heavy hitters in this thing. Cool. Not really.
2016. So that was like that's like topical, like
Yeah, it was like
modern.
about his
Yeah, wow.
Interesting. Henry Winkler in there.
50 minutes. It's not like a movie.
Ron Howard.
So he was
Whoa, his face in it. Like, that's crazy. That's that's insane. That's so weird.
More makeup than Edward Scissorhands? How, dude? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's really cool. Let's check that out.
That's
all right,
weird.
boys. We're nearing an hour. I think we've said a lot about this movie. Any rounding thoughts that we have?
Have we said a lot about this movie? I feel like we've already
Around
talked
this
about it.
movie.
People who were like very involved in this movie, and I feel like that's
Sure.
like what's, I don't know, like all the people went off to do like all these other crazy things, but this movie was significant, and I think it did launch. I mean, it launched the relationship of Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. You know, like that's that in and of itself is like so fucking important to everything else that Tim Burton did, really.
And the writer, you know, the relationship there, and how that eventually built Nightmare and wrote Danny Elfman, and it's like this crazy, you know, chain of events, and this was the spark.
The Burton verse.
Yeah.
So something I saw was kind of crazy on the Wikipedia. It says both Tim Burton and Danny Elfman consider Edward Scissorhands their most personal and favorite work. How?
That's so interesting.
How?
Just baggage. Just it's.
I mean, like,
literally a movie
personally,
about
they're-
yourself.
Yeah.
You know? It's just-
Yeah, they identify with it a lot, I would imagine.
yeah.
That's interesting.
The thing is that, and this was from like just a separate thing that I have seen about Tim Burton before. Danny Elfman was in a weird place when he did music for him initially. Like, you know, he was the singer for Oingo Boingo, which is just like a weird but really good band from that time. But he was like very much wanting to do his own thing and like not be in a band anymore. Like he wanted to just make music by himself. And I don't think he ever really thought of like movies as a way to do that, but it became that for him. And he was like, I guess, thankful or, you know, grateful that he did that. And like what he talks about this specifically in The Nightmare Before Christmas, like singing Jack's songs, it was just real for him. Like the things that Jack says have a lot to do with like everybody's eyes are on me, but I just want to be alone, and like I just want to be doing my own thing. And it was very much influenced by like real life. So I think that it's a, I don't know, it's one of those like weird coincidences that just happen to happen in the right order and all of a sudden create this whole world of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
He's
and
like
I dig it.
an iconic composer at this point.
Definitely.
Like, you can recognize him so quick. And I think that's.
And he wasn't sure he wanted to even do this, you know? Kind of
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool shit.
All right. So with all of those tangents being said, I think we're about ready to jump into ratings.
I don't
Any
even
opposed?
know, dude.
All right, Taryn's going first.
No, please.
I can go first.
Go, Jay.
Take it
Do
away.
it up.
Yeah, so I think that this movie, it's, and I don't want to like stereotype, but in this genre of people, I'll even say like these like scene kids or whatever, scene adjacent people. Like, a lot of them are very creative and very like, even though they feel like outcasts, they're still present and they still show their feelings through like art, I would say, a lot of the time. Even though a lot of them look the same, there is just like this boundless creativity there. And so I think that this movie is like very much like an artist's movie, like getting to do a whole set like they did, the colored houses, the crazy castle, the scissor hands, like getting to make all these props and really cool like set items is like totally like an artist's dream, Like you're not building another fucking interior for a house like Home Alone. You're making scissor hands. Like that's cool. Like that's awesome. So I think it was just so much fun getting to be weird and getting to be like in this other weird like fantasy realm. The shrubbery, those crazy designs that they would make, the ice, like all these really cool looking things. I think that there's a certain amount of passion that goes into that, and it shows. Like they made this like legendary, work, and it was really cool. I think that Johnny Depp I guess I'll say, made that role work. Like he put in the work to like think about all these things, go with watching silent films, go with taking cues from dogs, like things like that to make this work that you probably wouldn't expect the average person to do. I would never think Tom Cruise would do some shit like that, It'd be a totally different movie. The music, yeah, very whimsical. The kind of overall feel, very whimsical. Like all that stuff really works for me. I really like that stuff. I like when there's like a lesson to be learned. Call it basic, call it what you want, but I think that stuff's cool, especially when it's told through the lens of like an unorthodox perspective, right? So all of those things considered, and it did surprise me. Like I went in kind of thinking lowly of this movie, I'll be honest. I think that this is like a solid 8.6 from me.
Nice.
Cool.
8.6 out of J. All right, I think I'm ready for my review. You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
No.
Do it.
Just
All
kidding.
right. Yeah, I think a lot to echo with what Jay said. Really, Johnny Depp he made this movie. He was the star of the show. Obviously, he's the main actor, but just the craft that he put into this, I don't think that any other actor could really put it in the way that he did. And we talked a little bit earlier about other actors being, considered for the film. Tom Cruise, Robert Downey Jr., Jim Carrey. Johnny Depp really, I feel like, had it. He had the slight comedy aspect where it was like his character was a little bit funny, but also just very like different. And I said a lot of the times, like 25 minutes in, I was like, what the fuck is this movie? But after I really got past that and really saw that this is like a movie for people who are different, and it's kind of shining a really big spotlight on how society views those people. I mean, reading about like how a lot of people like say like this is kind of like a metaphor for people with autism, like really blew me away. I was like, oh yeah, like you like people are so interested in them, and especially in the 90s, like interested in all the crazy kooky things that these people can do, but it's in the wrong way, and they're not viewing them just as people. I don't know, that's just the way that it kind of showed that. And once I kind of understood that, it really launched this movie into something that I was like, wow, this actually has a story to tell. And this movie launched this connection with Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, who have gone on to do like, I don't know, what would Tim Burton be without Johnny Depp, and vice versa, right? Like they're like just this duo that is a match made in heaven, really. I mean, they
go watch Dumbo. You'll find out.
Yeah, I'll find out real quick.
Dumbo.
Yeah, Dumbo. But yeah, I mean, it's just I think that this movie was more of, you know, if you've listened this far through this episode, we've branched off a lot, but I think that's because like this movie really created these relationships, literally sometimes, to branch off and to do like so many more great things, and it really kickstarted and like launched off these like phenomenal careers. I don't know. This is an important movie. There were things that I wasn't crazy about. You know, there was like the tropes and stuff that were kind of played out, and just it was a little bit maybe slow at sometimes. So I wasn't in love with it, but I think this movie's so important in film, and I have to give it an 8.5. Right there,
Okay.
right next to Jay.
Nice.
So yeah, 8.5 for me. Who wants to take it over next? James, Darren?
I can do it if you're not ready.
Yeah, go
Unless
ahead.
you want to. Okay. So, like I was saying earlier, I think I went in too high, like thinking too highly of this movie, like knowing it's a classic, all this stuff, and then just getting like a pretty average ride out of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it is weird, like the concept is so fucking crazy. I love that part of it. I love that it's kind of like this like passion project basically for Tim Burton is what it seemed like. Like I love that stuff about it. But I don't know. I just wish they went harder on the different themes that we were talking about, like with how people are treated when they just have like this defining factor when they're more than that kind of thing. Like that whole scene with the at the TV station really like exemplifies that as like,
Yeah.
well, without your hands, like you just be normal. And it's just like, I don't know. They did a good job of it, but I just wish it went farther nowadays. Let's see. Shit, I forgot everything, dude. God damn it. Like you guys are talking, I'm like, oh my god, I got everything ready to go.
You're all scribbled down.
Yeah, dude.
Good point. I'll steal that one.
Back on that one.
Yeah.
There's an emote for that. That's really funny looking.
Oh,
people
Yeah.
draw.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
The set design, like you were mentioning, Jay, is fucking phenomenal, dude. I was like, this Dark Souls looking ass foyer in this building. I'm gonna fight some monsters in this room.
I thought
dude.
it kind of
Yeah.
was cheesy a little bit. Like the castle was kind of set. Like you're like,
Fun
"Oh,
fact,
looks like foam or something. Not like
there's a character in the back in that castle that looks like the Oogie Boogie Man. Like because
Really?
a lot of them were
Oh.
off of Tim Burton's
that's
drawing.
cool.
Jay was saying how this was a drawing he did like when he was 16 or something. So
Oh, that's cool.
so
Yeah, all the scenes in that castle were so cool, dude. Like all the Vincent Price stuff, all the crazy contraptions. I loved that the conveyor was going because that thing was running on it. I'm like, why? How's that thing working? This is so interesting. And then all of that build up just to like be this like quiet guy that just kind of like lives there. I don't know. It was really interesting. I thought the way they set everything up. Yeah, shout out just like to the silliness of this movie, dude. Every time he's cutting like hair or a shrub or something, all the hair flying around, and it's just like kind of different.
Yeah.
Like I loved that shit so much.
like,
I like the angle on it too. I was always like looking up
He's
at
just going
you know.
crazy at it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, like story wise, with the way that everyone was so accepting. I was like, all right, this is better than I thought it was going to be. Like a cooler direction to go, I guess, with the this kind of outsider trope. But yeah, I guess that's about it. The ends you mentioned earlier, James, that was pretty lame, I thought. I don't know. Just Winona Ryder
the I
just
love you
dancing and
and
shit. I was like, what is this? And then yeah, I love you.
yeah, it's weird.
And then her voice was really weird as an old lady, I thought.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nose.
That's March
Yeah.
Cheesy.
I could see how growing up this can like really like help you out emotionally or like kind of shape different things about you, and like I appreciate that shit. But seeing it now, it's a little underwhelming. So I'll say it's about a 7.5, 7.5.
Okay.
Okay. That's fair.
7.5 out of 10. James, you got the floor. Take it away.
I'm gonna disagree with Taryn. I think that the movie does enough delving into that kind of outcast stuff, and when he goes on to the TV, like he's just seen. He's still seen as an outcast, but there's a couple of lines that he says throughout the movie, which makes you think, oh, he's just like everybody else, because he's like, my favorite part is all the friends I've made, you know, like
Oh, and he's like
Like,
he
it's-
found a
Cried. I didn't actually, but I wanted
Yeah.
to.
and like when he's like,
Yeah.
if you find a briefcase full of money, blah blah blah, and he's like, yeah, give
Yeah.
it to my loved ones. I was like, fuck, this
yeah,
guy.
it's
Yeah,
so
good.
it's so wholesome, and I think that's like, I think those that was the other line. I think like those two lines itself kind of play into that, you know, even though he's different on the outside, he's just like any of us, you know. But all that stuff was kind of cool, and I think that I don't know, like when you first see them as accepting, I knew it wasn't gonna be that way. I was like, oh, they're gonna like switch on him, and that's just like kind of how life is sometimes. And it's like this movie's like, it's like heartbreaking. It gives you all these different roller coasters, because yeah, at first you're like, holy shit, they love him, and like he's, you know, he's a little bit of a spectacle, but like you feel so like happy for him, because he is kind of like that little puppy dog that's just trying to get on his feet and figure out like what's going on in this world.
Yeah.
And then like just tragically taken away from him because he just has fucking fucked up hands, and he's clumsy, and he, like, you know, cuts some little kid's face, cuts Winona's hand. Like it's just like it is like very stressful watching that last like part of the movie. Everything just like snowballs so intense that you're just like, fuck, just put your hands away for a second. Like he's just like, you know.
Those fucking cops, dude. God damn.
But I don't know. I didn't know what the hell I was gonna think about this movie. I had my pre-existing notion of it, and I was pretty blown away. Jacqueline thinks I like it because it's sad, and it does. And remember, Jacqueline said that what makes a Christmas movie is that little sprinkle of sadness. And that's like really like super prevalent in this. But I love like the little back and forth with him and his creator. He's like, you can laugh, you can smile. It's like, it's a good joke and stuff. Like when he's like teaching him, and it's just, I don't know, it's just so wholesome, and it's fucking heartbreaking when he doesn't get his hands, and then he stabs his own homie.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I don't know. Beautiful movie to look at times. Some of the things are aged kind of weird to me, but just has that whimsical, fantastical feel throughout that I was just like, wow, this is really cool. 8.5.
Nice.
8.5, right there with me.
Okay.
All right. That brings us to a collective 8.275.
I like that score.
Not bad.
That's you know, I feel like I always say that, but like because it's not like we're casting 100 people. But yeah, you know, this movie's, it's fun. It's a good watch. I think it's a good watch a few weeks before Christmas, like to kind of get you into that mood. You know, it's not
It's like
entirely Christmas.
the in
It just
between
has that
Halloween
feel.
Christmas movie, November movie.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
As a director, right? Because that's the same as Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like that looming, you know, thing between those two.
Yeah, if I just realized, if you're watching this some random time of the year and you see us in Santa hats and shit, someone picked this as a Christmas movie. We didn't even talk about if that even applies, and I don't think it does at all.
I don't know. It felt something about the fantasticalness of it reminds me of Christmas for some reason. I don't know what it is. And then the ending is just like, I don't know. It's that Christmas sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit like feels Christmas Man / just because a movie and Christmas happens during the movie doesn't make it a Christmas movie. It's like
Wow.
somewhere in the middle of there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I thought that, yeah, once James said it, I felt that more. That the whole thing just it has the same vibe.
And the music might have done a lot with that. Like,
Oh,
just feels that way, you know?
Part of it.
Yeah.
It's like the whole like New Year's thing, like 3, 2, 1, rent's due. Like it's in real quick. And yeah, so we rated this movie an 8.275. We would love to know what you guys think about this. Find all of our socials at filmfumblers.com. Be sure you're following us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, our Facebook page. Again, filmfumblers.com. Find all of those. Next week is our Christmas finale. That is going to be on December 26th. We will be reviewing the movie Christmas Vacation. It's going to be a very special episode. After show on that, we're going to be doing some gift opening and some Secret Santa stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure you are tuned in for that. I think that about does it. Anything I missed? Filmfumblers.com, filmfumblers.com.
Got it.
Thanks so much, guys. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We will see you guys next time. Cheers.
Cheers.